Absolutely, you guys. Submariners from the USS John Warner are now back in the arms of their loved ones. The attack submarine, whose home is here at Naval Station Norfolk, returned just about an hour ago. 132 sailors are back home, back on dry land and in loving hands. It's a heartfelt reunion after a 6-month deployment.
It's great to be home. I haven't seen these guys in 6 months.
The sailors have a lot more breathing room now in comparison to living on the 377-foot-long boat.
The joy of being reunited with loved ones can't be beat.
But the small space didn't hold down the spirit of the crew, even around the holidays.
I have a crew whose morale is incredibly high.
Commander Burt Camfield led the crew and submarine. With his leadership, the team covered more than 30,000 nautical miles. On its maiden voyage, they traveled above the Arctic Circle, stopping in Scotland, Spain, and Greece, to name a few ports.
It's been an amazing deployment.
The submarine and crew handled a variety of missions. In April, the submarine fired 6 Tomahawk missiles during a U.S. missile strike into Syria.
They feel incredibly proud to have been able to participate in something like that. It doesn't happen very often, and we would all hope it never has to happen, but when called upon, they answered.
The submarine's greatest value is being unseen while on scene. But the sailor's greatest reward is being back home.
But I'm ready to go home with my wife and my daughter. It is just unbelievable.
Now that the submarine is back home, the Submarine Forces Public Affairs Officer told us that the next crew that's going to head on that submarine will in fact be the first Virginia-class crew to be both male and female. Reporting live in Norfolk, I'm Megan Shen. Back to you guys.